Sturmey-Archer single-speed coaster brake assembly. The axle is not symmetrical. The E-clip goes on the side with a narrow shoulder. This shoulder on the right side is slightly wider. Install the axle into an axle vise. Then use some high temperature, high pressure grease. This is black molybdenum grease on the rollers of the brake actuator, and install the brake shoes. There's a spring with a tang sticking up, goes in the groove on the brake shoes. Then more black grease. Again, this is high temperature, high pressure grease. And install onto the axle. The next part is the actuator sleeve. Then there is a sub-assembly with the ball ring, some LMX grease, and then the balls, and the driver, and the plastic dust cap will hold the whole assembly together. Use some bearing grease into the bearings. So that the driver engages the actuator sleeve. Then the right hand cone. Tighten the cone down until it touches the bearings and back it off 1/4 turn. Then the right lock nut. Hold the cone with a 16mm cone wrench and torque the lock nut to 8.5 Newton meters. Then remove the assembly. The axle should turn freely with no resistance or binding. Install the assembly into a vise, clamp the lock nut, and everything should still turn freely. Use some high temperature, high pressure grease inside the hub shell where the coaster brake shoes will be operating, and also on the outside of the brake shoes. You'll also need a low viscosity grease like the Castrol CLS 00 on the pawls. And a little bit of grease on the threaded section of the hub shell. Remove the assembly from your vise and install into the hub or wheel. Tighten the ball ring down with the ball ring spanner very tightly. And then reinstall the assembly into the vise, clamping by the lock nut. And some bearing grease in the bearing area, and some grease in the bearing retainer assembly. And notice there are 4 notches on the left cone. They need to engage the brake shoes. Then the brake cone adjuster. And the lock nut. Adjust the bearing with 2 23mm cone wrenches. There should be free play but no end play when you check at the rim. Double check the measurement a couple times and then torque the lock nut to 23 Newton meters. Normal operation of the hub, when you turn the brake arm clockwise, it will be free. When you turn it reverse, counterclockwise, there will be substantial resistance because of the drag spring in the brake actuator. And the axle should turn freely both ways. And then you're done.